Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it has arrived. Welcome to Dyson Back Covers, this beautiful and wonderful channel that today aims to start another series on this channel about 3D&T. You have no idea how happy I get every time I have the opportunity to say this. I'm back, baby. The baby is fine, the baby is healthy, the baby is cool. Dad is recovering, but we have to get back to making content on this channel, right? So let's go. I don't know if it will be every week right away. First time dad here, please give me a break, but I'm back to making content. And of course, I had to take the chance because my edition of 3D&T Victory arrived. I'll show it to you quickly, and then we'll start these explanations. To begin with, I got the hardcover version from the crowdfunding campaign. There was a hardcover version and a paperback version, right? So there was the colorful hardcover version and the black and white paperback version, the more economical version. And I don't know, I could have researched this before, but I don't know if both will be available for sale later. If I can find this information, it will be here in the video description. But here's the hardcover version, which has spot UV coating on the entire cover. Not the entire cover, right? Because otherwise it wouldn't be spot UV, Luiz Paulo. Here on the logo, right? On the illustration, the texts in general, and also the dice in the background. I don't know if you can see here. Maybe this way you can see that there's a D6 texture there in the background. So these D6s also have spot UV coating. As I said, the book, oh, my bookmark fell. The book is all colorful, entirely colorful, right? It comes with a manga story at the beginning, showing the Holy Avengers crew, and man, it's magnificent. It's magnificent. It's beautiful. I could use other adjectives to tell you how amazing this book is. Satin ribbon for marking pages. Magnificent stuff. I love a satin ribbon to mark the page. Pixel art illustrations too. There are ninja here, written by Casaro, that are brilliant. Just brilliant. So many different jokes. It's magnificent. They mix the old sense of humor that was already present in 3D&T with the new aesthetic, more fitting for the setting, more fitting for the game, without pulling from old illustrations or copying certain anime. I think there are one or two old illustrations from the old manuals in here, but in general, this one has its own visual identity, which is a big change compared to the visual identity of the other 3D&T games. To start these explanations, let's start with the game's basic mechanics. Let's start with the test rolls. In 3D&T, the die you will roll is the D6, the basic 6-sided die that everyone has at home. Because everyone has at some point received a board game that came with one of these, right? Whether it's Monopoly, Life, War, all those things we should have moved on from playing. Or even good board games also come with D6. But in general, everyone has them. You start by rolling 1d6, and you can go up to 3d6 depending on the circumstances. You will take the result of this roll and add it to the characteristic you're testing. Remember, there are only 3 characteristics now: resistance, ability, and power. Every test in 3D&T will fit into one of these 3. Every test in this game is considered a skill test, and the skills, if you have them, can also affect your roll. So you'll take your die result or dice results, add them to your characteristic, and this number has to exceed the target, right? The test target number. This target number that you have to reach or exceed in your test is called the difficulty. And there are 4 categories of difficulty to beat. A result of 6 is considered an easy target. A result of 9 is considered a medium target. A result of 12 is considered a difficult target. And a result of 15 is considered a very difficult target. So you'll need to roll more dice than just your first one. You'll have to find a way to add dice by getting gains. Each gain represents 1 extra die, up to 3. And here we play with the name of the game, 3D&T. 3 dice and a test. Yes, I know the old name meant something else. Tokyo Defenders 3rd edition. Here we're playing with the game's own mechanics, or 3 detectives, and a Tesla. 3 do-gooders and a Tukuma. 3 Dilsons and a Tobias. There are 5 general ways for you to get a gain, to get 1 more die in your test. Remember, each of these can only count once, up to a maximum of 3 dice, so you won't get 5 gains in your test. The first is a positive situation. So if the entire situation, all the circumstances are helping you pass the test, you can get 1 more die. So for example, you're trying to run away from a guy, you're trying to run away from a monster, and you find an unattended bike on the street, not locked or anything, it's a gain. You can get help from your teammates. You're trying to unlock a locked door, and then the barbarian comes and kicks the door, breaking half of it. It becomes easier to unlock the rest of what's left. Your character's advantages can also give you an extra die to solve that situation. If you decide to do it with a lot of style, coming up with a crazy solution, something so wild and crazy that it makes the narrator, the DM, love your idea, they can give you a little die as a gift, like, okay, go ahead and do it that way, I want to see this work. And we also have Dharma, Dharma is an inspiration from the universe, the cosmos aligning for you to pass your test. So you can ask the game master for a Dharma point so that you get a gain in your test. But be careful, every time you gain a point of Dharma, the master gets a point of karma, and then they can apply a loss. They can cause a loss on some future test of yours. They probably will. Besides these 5 ways, the most recurring way to get a gain, an extra die, is to have the skill you're testing. You don't need to have the skill to make the test, but if you do, you get an extra die. So if I'm trying to drive a car and I have the skill of a pilot, I get an extra die. But if I don't have the pilot skill, I can still try to drive the car. As I quickly mentioned in Dharma, there is also the karma from the master, which is a way to give the players a reality check and cause a loss in their dice. And here's where we talk about the ways the narrator, the master, has to disrupt the players' lives. There are situations where the master will reduce the number of dice you have, which is why it's good to ensure you have multiple ways to gain so you can overcome the losses the master can impose. Each loss decreases your test by 1 die, but you will always have a minimum of 1 die on the test. There's no more testing without dice, where you only had the pure characteristic. You will always have at least 1 die. The first case that causes a loss in your dice are negative situations. Unlike positive situations, you might be trying to climb a wall that has just been soaped up, making it challenging and complicated to climb and scale that wall. Advantages can also cause losses, but they generally cause losses for your enemies, not for you, because otherwise they wouldn't be advantages. But disadvantages can indeed affect you in the test. After all, that's why they're called disadvantages. A disadvantage must necessarily hinder the player's life. If it doesn't hinder, if it's an invisible disadvantage, it can be removed. And as I mentioned, Dharma, which is the help of the cosmos for the player to make that test. There is also Karma, which is the help of the cosmos for the master. Remember, at the end of this whole calculation of gains, losses, rolled dice, and everything else, you have to exceed that result, which is the test goal. The goal system works differently in combat, but we'll talk about that in another video. I will also leave for another video a better explanation of skills, advantages, and disadvantages of characters, because the next video after this one will show the character sheet, and I will explain each thing inside so you can fill it out and be ready to create your character in 3D&T. In case you stumbled upon this by accident, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you don't know what 3D&T is, check it out. There's a huge playlist on the channel talking about the other edition of 3D&T and the current edition, but I was talking about the playtest period before the crowdfunding campaign. Now I have the book here and I will explain everything from the final official version. I hope you enjoyed the video and I'll see you in the next one, folks. See you.